Alright, so the first thing that you need to do is open a new document. So you go File, New. Next thing you want to do is title it. So I'm going to title this Shapes for Animation. Right, 8.5 by 11 is fine. It's just a regular letter. To get that, you can click on Print, click on Letter, or if you want to do art illustration, you can do art illustration. And instead of changing it to points, you can change it back to inches if you like. But print seems to work for me, so I'm going to click, and I'm going to keep it in inches just because I like inches. I'm going to click Create. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find my shape tools. So the thing about creating shapes for Photoshop is you want to import it as separate layers. So here are all your shapes. You have your star tool, your polygon, ellipse, rectangle. I'm going to start off with the star tool. So to create a star, I just drag my mouse and it creates a star. I could also create a star and change the amount of points it has by using my arrow keys, the up and down arrow keys. So up adds more points, down lowers the points. I think on my example I had six points, and then if you hold down shift it keeps it at 45 and 90 degrees. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to create my star. I think it looks better if you have a little bit higher point size with these rotating designs. It's all an opinion though. If you want to change the point size, you can go to Window, go down to Stroke, and this gives you your stroke size. I'm going to change this to like 10 point, so get a nice thick line, maybe even 15. Alright, so if you like the points, you can do that. If you want to do something rounded like what I did, you can click on your white arrow and click on the points, and you can round them either singular, or you can click on all of them and round them together. So the only difference between that is I clicked on the point twice. So I clicked in here, and instead of clicking on an individual point, I just clicked and dragged from that point. Or if I wanted to do them individually, I click on it and see it highlights it, and then I can do that point separately. Alright, so that's how you do that. You could also do other shapes like a triangle. So I'm going to do a triangle this time. Lower it to 3 points. Holding my space bar, I can move my shape to a new location and release. So I did a triangle that time. So I want to have these on separate layers, so I'm going to click on my new layer button, and whatever's selected, it gives me a little color icon in the right side of my layer. I'm just going to drag that up to a new layer. So now I have a triangle on one layer, I have a star on the other. You can title those. I double clicked on the text of the layer. I'm going to title it Triangle, and I'm going to title this one Star. Oops. Alright, so next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to export these. Most likely, if I'm doing if I'm doing something that rotates, I want to have as many layers that are going to be rotating. I want to create those ahead of time. So one way to do that would be to select my, let's say, star, and I'm going to just hold on my Alt key on my PC or my Option key on my Mac, and I'm just going to drag over another one, and I'm going to drag down another one, and you want to put these all on separate layers again. So 2 more layers. So this is star. I'm going to put this one on the next one, star. The nice thing about Illustrator is you can see what's on the layers. So I know that these are all different stars on the layer. And I'm going to go over here to File now, and I'm going to export this for Photoshop. So I'm going to export as, and I'm going to change my format to Photoshop PSD. Right? I'm going to click Export, and it gives me this option right here. Normally I would say to change this to RGB, but once you change this to RGB, you flatten your layers into one image, so flat image. So just because we're doing this on screens only, it doesn't mean we want to keep it as separate. We want to keep it as one layer. So I'm going to keep it as CMYK, so I can say write my layers and optimize type. That's fine, and I'm going to click OK. It was at 150 dpi, which is fine for a screen, and I think I exported it to my desktop. Yep, so there they are. So I'm going to open this in Photoshop next, and open with Photoshop. So I have all my layers, right? and they came in as pixels. If you want them to come as smart objects, you can save them as Illustrator files and then bring them in individually. But I almost feel it's a little bit better to have them as smart object. Mine has a fill on them, a fill in the inside, the white of the. Let's find this one. So if I click right here, it has white on the inside. If you want it to be completely transparent, you just have to make sure in your Illustrator when you're doing these that each of these has no fill. So this is my fill right here. I'm just going to turn that off with a none. And if I were to resave these would all come in as just as strokes with no white fill on the inside.